Once I orient someone to their pelvis while thinking about their pelvic bones, I then start to talk about their pelvic organs and also the pelvic floor muscles. Now, this is not a comprehensive, every single detail about the pelvic organs or the pelvic floor muscles. That is whole courses on themselves. This is a brief overview to start to have you more familiar with your pelvis. Let's go to the pelvic model again to look at the organs of the pelvis. So first, let's appreciate that there are three. There's the bladder, the uterus, and the rectum. Let's understand that it's very tightly packed, and this is only the organs. It does not have any of the ligaments, fascia, everything that nerves that are kind of all packed inside here. But for the organs, there's the bladder. And what I think about for bladder is that it's close to the front of the body. It's right underneath this pubic bone. For the uterus, I think about how it's, this fan shaped, it's held together by a lot of ligaments, and it's kind of very tucked, like the bladder is very tucked into the uterus. And then the rectum, I think about more that it's in the back of the pelvis. So I think about like back pain. I'll think about whether someone's constipated or what's going on with the rectum. And that, again, it's very coordinated, it's very close to the other organs. When I teach women about their pelvic floor muscles, I think about three layers of pelvic floor muscles. And the first layer is going to be represented on the model by this plate. So it's external, right? Our skin is right over this. And I think about genitals. I think about the clitoris, which is right in here. I think about here is the urethra. So this is where we pee out of. The vagina is right here, and then the rectum is right here. But I think very superficial, and I think genitals. The second layer is not very well represented on this model, but it is between this external layer and this internal layer. And what I think about that is actually sphincters. And the sphincters have external and internal. And the external are the sphincters, we can control them. They're muscles that are voluntary. And so for anyone that's having incontinence issues, either, pee or poop, that we think about this second layer and controlling it so that you don't have involuntary loss. And then the third layer is represented in the diagram in here. This is the layer that we think about. Sometimes you'll hear it called a trampoline. It's the layers that are, you can see them, they're connected to the coccyx and then come through here as a bowl and then connect to the front of the hip bones. And that I think of deep pelvic floor musculature holding up the pelvic floor organs. So now you have this very basic overview of the pelvis and the parts of the pelvis. And it should be enough that you will be able to move on to other pieces of the course. But I am going to create and suggest one more video for you, which is called Pelvic Connection. I created this because when I was working with women and we were starting to talk about the pelvic floor training, sometimes it would just not work. It would be really hard for a woman to connect or understand what she was trying to do and where these muscles were. So there is legitimate work to pelvic connection. And so the next video kind of gives you some ideas of how to connect with the pelvis, with the pelvic floor muscles, and then it might be easier then to move on to the other sections in the course.